Let's talk about some helpful strategies for reading difficult texts. The first, and maybe most important helpful strategy, is called multiple engagement. This essentially means that you want to interact with the text more than once. There are a couple of catchy ways to describe this. I'll give you two of them. One is preview, read, review. The other is pre-reading, reading, post-reading. They both describe multiple engagement, which basically means that, again, you look at the text more than once. You might read the Wikipedia article about a text to give yourself some context. That would be a preview. Then sit down and read the text. Let's call it a critical read. That would be the second engagement. And then after you've read it, you might go back and close read certain sections, or go to a lecture on the text, or talk about it with a classmate. That would be your third engagement, the review or the post-reading. Another great strategy is to go out of your way to identify key terms and concepts early in your engagement with the text. There are a couple of good ways to know that you're looking at a key term or concept. First of all, if a term or concept appears in the title or in a subtitle, it's almost certainly important. If the author repeats a term or concept throughout the text, that's a good sign that it's important. And if the author pauses to define a term or concept in the body of the text, again, it's likely important. You also want to look out for signal phrases, for things like pivots and strong verbs that signal to you that the author is saying something important. Let me give you some examples. A signal phrase might be something like, contrary to popular belief, A, B, C. A pivot might be something like, turning to my next point, X, Y, Z. And a strong verb might be something like, utterly destroying his plans, Simmons made a grave error. It's a great idea to take notes while you read. That can do two things for you. In the moment that you're reading, taking some notes will help you focus your attention and note down what's important in the text. Later on, when you're doing your multiple engagement and you come back to review a text, looking over your notes can help you remember what are the important parts. A great strategy when dealing with a difficult text is to use an interlocutor, by which I mean talk with someone about the text. If you can talk with the professor or the TA, that's fantastic, but the person you talk with doesn't need to be an expert. It can be a classmate or a friend. You can call your brother and tell him what you're reading. Any kind of conversation about the text is likely to be helpful. What's especially good is to talk with a classmate, because that will be good for both of you. Say you take the time to summarize the text that you've read as you understand it for your classmate. It's good for your classmate because it helps him or her understand the text better, and it's good for you because you've put yourself through the exercise of taking the ideas from the text and expressing them in your own words, which is very helpful to solidify the information in your mind. Finally, it's a good idea to ask yourself some questions as you go. Ask yourself, what's the author trying to accomplish with this paragraph? What's the big argument here? Am I following along? You may need to refocus your attention a little bit if you're not able to answer these questions in the middle of reading a text. And if you're taking a class that involves a difficult text, you can ask yourself questions like, how does this text fit into the larger course? What does the professor want me to get out of this text? These are really helpful strategies to help when you're reading a difficult text.